Hello, everyone. My name is Sandy Glaze. I am a personal transformation and self-development coach. I specialize in the unseen energies, in particular, the energies that relate to our emotions and our spiritual abilities. And I wanted to do a video today. I've heard in the news recently that UV light therapies were introduced via a news brief. And people were concerned and confused as to what that meant, that technology meant. And although I don't understand the technology and I'm not promoting any of the modalities, I do think now is the time that we get a better sense of how our energies work in our physical body and to be able to describe them for people so that they can start to understand how these new technologies may impact them or influence them down the road. And so where I was going to start with this, I want to talk about what they call the human chakra system. There are energy bodies there's energy fields in our body, energy wheels in our body. In Sanskrit, the word chakra means wheels, so wheels of energy. And we are not taught this in the Western world. And because of that, it is my opinion, we don't get a full sense of who we are. And if we don't understand ourselves, we understand the physical, we're taught about that, but the non-physical side of ourselves, then it's really hard to marry the two as new information comes to light about what's available for us. So when we talk about the chakra system, the one I reference is the Hindu chakra system. And the reason I do that is because, I'm just going to share it here, the Hindu chakra system represents these 7 colors that represent the visible spectrum of color in light. So these are the colors that make up the white in the rainbow. And it's important to understand that, because without understanding this, I'm of the opinion we don't get a full picture of who we are as energy, spiritual and emotional beings. So I'm going to also share another screen why I think the Western world doesn't get it. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. As you see, there's only 5 colors. The top 2 colors, the dark blue, the indigo, which represents our inner knowing, our inner vision, our intuition, among other things, it's missing in this example. And so is our spiritual connection, the connection to all that is, whether it's God, God, source, universe, Allah, there's many names for that energy. But because we're not taught that, they separated science and church in the education system, people aren't getting a full picture of who we are. So I'm going to move this out of the way here. So I'm just going to mark some points that I've made with these visual aids. This model does not include the entire visible spectrum of color and frequency, as just discussed. The visible spectrum of color has 7 colors, as discussed. So the indigo represents our higher sensory perceptions, our inner knowing, that innate ability we have, the intelligence that we have that we can't explain. The purple represents the fundamental element of spirituality. And both the indigo and purple vibrate at a faster rate than the other colors that are shown here in terms of hertz. This model only focuses on intellectual abilities as the marker of human potential, highest potential. And we know that in the Western education system, everything is about IQ. And there's a place for that, but your IQ can only tell you based on what you've learned and recited in school. There's some limits to that being your only marker of true intelligence. There's a few other points there, but I'm not really sure that they are, I need to talk about them right now. By adding spirituality into the equation, we can restore the pathways of human ascension and energy wellness and awareness. So that's what I'm really hoping to do today, to show us how these energy systems work. So I'm going to go back into the chakra system, and I want to explain how the chakras work so people can get a sense of how these energy systems influence their life. So if everybody would like just to take a moment, we're going to bring awareness into our body. When we try to increase understanding on a topic, we have to bring awareness to it. And if this awareness and these energy systems are in our body, then it's important that we know how to bring attention into our body so that we can feel what's going on when we start to bring in higher awareness about what's happening in each of these centers. So if you just take a moment and breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And breathe out slowly for a count of 8. When you empty on the 8, feel in your body, where does your attention go? Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And again, breathe out for a count of 8. Where's your attention going in your body? Just make a mental note of where your attention is going. We'll do it one last time. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 8. And then start your normal breathing pattern, resume your normal breathing pattern. And really pay attention to what we're going to go through and discuss on these energy flows so that you can get a sense of how they influence you. We're all human, we're all the same, but things affect us differently. Energies affect us differently. Past experiences affect us differently. So there could be different things that come up for you based on this model that I'm sharing. This is just very limited basic chakra information. There's other information that pertains to the chakras, but I thought it's a great point for people who want to learn about it, just to get a basic understanding and be able to orient yourself with the energies. On the left-hand side, you'll see it talks about the chakras when they're in flow, which means they're operating the way they should be. And on the right side, it talks about when they're in shadow, when they're not operating the way they should be. There's a block in your energy field. So we're going to start at the bottom of the root chakra. The root chakra deals with our physical and financial security, our material needs, the people we hang out with, our tribe and sense of community and collaboration. A lot of those are being questioned right now. It's the spring of 2020. We're in the middle of this lockdown. So a lot of the basic realities, the basic fundamentals of what gives us our sense of security is up in the air for some people right now. So that's why I just want to bring some of this up. So we look and we understand physical and financial security, material needs, tribe and sense of community and collaboration are just some of the aspects when our root chakra, which is based right at the bottom at our perineum, is operating properly. If we go to the right side on the root chakra, when it's not working properly, what surfaces is greed, the survival of the fittest mentality, competition, aggressiveness, financial insecurity, abuse of power, and consumerism. And many people are enjoying this time at home right now. Maybe they're getting full pay and they're quite comfortable enjoying this holiday, but for others, it's not that. And this is what they're experiencing, these feelings of constricted energy that are making them feel very insecure. If we go back to the inflow, the sacral chakra is located 2 inches below the belly button. What the sacral chakra deals with is our creativity, our sensuality, our sexuality, positive emotions, our feelings, vitality, and play. That's when it's functioning properly. This should all be natural, the creativity, the joy, and the happiness that we experience. When it's not flowing properly is lack of creativity, lack of self-appreciation, addictions. A lot of people aren't sure how to handle this, what's going on right now, insecurity, jealousy, depression. I have sexual abuse and sexual misery in this visual aid. And normally I don't just use this visual aid for what's going on in the lockdown, but that is also attributed to this chakra, the sacral chakra. Lack of emotion and promiscuity and unhealthy emotions are also here. Many of you may know people or maybe experience it yourself that you have problems in your digestive tract or you have illnesses below your belly button. Maybe it's irritable bowel syndrome or leaky gut syndrome. Some of these can also be caused by unprocessed emotions or trapped emotions. I'm not saying that these illnesses don't have a physical component. I'm not even going there. I'm talking about the emotional and the spiritual side. So this is huge. And so many people tell me they feel anxiety below their belly button. That's because anxiety can be an emotion that's not properly processed or dealt with. We go back to the inflow side on the left to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is located just between your belly button and your heart chakra, which is right in the center of your chest, right in the center of your chest. When you look at the solar plexus, it deals with your personal power, your esteem, your drive, your sense of confidence, your willpower, integrity, healthy boundaries, and respect. And if you notice, all of these items that are attributed to the chakras, most of them have an emotional nature, spiritual nature. They can have a mental component to them, but they're really attributed to the unseen energies that are there, but we don't give a lot of attention to. When our solar plexus is blocked, we experience shame, fear of moving forward, immaturity, irresponsibility, conforming, lack of boundaries or respect for others, fear and demanding expectations of others. And we're seeing a lot of this happening right now. I can't tell you the number of people who've tried to shame me for what I think, for asking questions or just not not necessarily believing everything I'm told. And that's our right to be able to ask questions and be able to share who we are and what we believe. Fear of moving forward. A lot of people don't know what forward's going to look like. Maybe their job is on the line, or they are uncertain about where their job is going to be when they go back to work. Immaturity. We're seeing a lot of immaturity right now with people finger wagging and telling everybody else, you're not standing the right distance apart, or you're not wearing a mask, or you're not doing this. One aspect that is not talked enough about, in my opinion, is control. While you are controlling another person and micromanaging what they're doing, you cannot yourself expand into your higher consciousness. So controlling others based on your sense of perception doesn't just hurt the person you're trying to control. Ultimately, it hurts you. And if you're doing the controlling, you might think you're at a good station in life, but that may or may not be true. That might be all you know. So there's definitely detriment to controlling others. It's not and it's not a nice feeling when somebody's trying to control you. Irresponsibility. We've all got examples probably for that. Conforming. What happens if we don't conform? Wow, we go back to getting shamed if we don't conform to somebody else's opinion that may or may not be true, or you may or may not agree with. Lack of boundaries. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of people jumping on each other for speaking up and saying what they believe is true. We're seeing lack of respect when it comes to I'm going to use the nursing system and the hospital system. The hospitals are empty, and we're watching nurses dance around and do all kinds of dances with the masks on and the shields on that we're told they had to have, but it's almost like they're mocking the people. And there's a lot of things, there's a lot of reasons to be asking questions, but I'm saying this is in your solar plexus. It goes against your right to stand up for yourself, ask questions, stand in your power. So when we go back to the inflow side and dealing with the heart chakra, which is a beautiful green color when it's operating properly. Capacity to love self and others, soul integration, intimacy. Intimacy, in my definition, is your ability to express yourself and show yourself, your vulnerabilities, who you are with another person or group of people. And it's also the ability to be open while someone shares who they really are with you. And we're not really encouraged to do an awful lot of that in our society. Some areas are, some aren't. That's what intimacy is. And intimacy is not necessarily to be confused with romantic intimacy or romantic love, although intimacy can be present with sexual relationships. Not all sexual relationships have intimacy. So there's a difference. Heart chakra also deals with your romantic love, because that's a love that you feel in your body that's different than all the other types of love, whether it's love of children, love of parents, love of community, love of nature, love of self, love of God, whatever. There's quite a few different types of love, but romantic love has a special place. It's your ability to connect to others, your ability to experience joy, express bliss, and the expansion. When you feel love in your heart, nothing hurts. It's a great feeling. So this is what's supposed to happen. And by recognizing that, it allows us to bring attention to our heart center and help expand that energy center. When our heart is not working properly, often people feel apathy, which is lack of any sympathy or empathy for others. We see a lot of that right now. There can be grief that's experienced, lack of self-love, unhappiness, loneliness, and contraction. And with all this talk of self-isolation, humans aren't meant to self-isolate. We are very social creatures. We're meant to be with each other and help each other. I'm not suggesting anybody go against what is being promoted. That's not what this video is about. But this is not normal for how humans were meant to behave. We're meant to share ourselves with others and let others share themselves with us. This is how we're supposed to operate. When we go into the throat chakra, that's a beautiful light blue color. The throat chakra represents the ability to express yourself, the ability to speak your truth, express your opinions openly. And as we discussed, people aren't being encouraged to stray from the narrative that we're being told by the media and the so-called experts right now. I'm always surprised by the number of people who tell me they have thyroid issues. And when you think of thyroid, not being able to express your truth or say who you truly are or what you truly want or what you truly believe causes a suppression and a contraction of energy. And I'm of the opinion that that also helps create some of the problems in the endocrine glands, which is the thyroid and the hyperthyroid, but parathyroid. But so that's where I'm seeing some of these inabilities to express ourselves emotionally and spiritually are manifesting in our physical bodies. We should all be able to express ourselves. We don't have to be rude or mean or jump over somebody else and speak with such a way that other people can't hear themselves, but we should also be allowed to express ourselves. When we look at the shadow side of the throat chakra, fear of being seen or heard is discussed. A lot of that's happening right now. There's a lot of deception that happens when people try to speak the truth. A lot of manipulations. There's a lot of name calling, labeling people as mentally ill because they see something that you don't see, or they have a different opinion than you, or deflecting things back on the person, or trying to be superior to the other person because they might know something you don't. So you have to make them look crazy so you feel good. There's not A lot of these dysfunctions could be labeled on the shadow side as codependent, and they can range from codependent, enabling, bystander behaviors, narcissism, sociopathic, and psychopathic behaviors, all in varying degrees, which I'm not going to go into. But just so we understand how we behave through our emotions impacts how the world around us in the physical. It also talks again about the suppression of society, which we're seeing. So as I discussed earlier, the third eye, which is the indigo, and the crown chakra, which is the violet color, which represents our spirit to connection. The crown chakra aims upward, the root chakra aims downward, and each of the other chakras have wheels of energy in the front and the back of us. So when we look at the third eye represents the pineal gland in the middle of our head. And what it is a small pine cone shaped gland that it's made of crystals. It has different like silicon hairs inside it, and it has crystals in it that allow us to use our inner vision. But we've forgotten how to do that, especially with technology, because everybody now uses the screen on the computer to visualize through. Not everybody, I shouldn't generalize. But that's what our third eye is designed to do. And the areas that it, I'll say governs for lack of a better word, is inner vision, our ability to manifest when you think about what you want, and all of a sudden synchronicities happen and it shows up around you. Our higher sensory perceptions, those can be clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant. Clairaudient is your ability to hear things that you don't understand, but all of a sudden maybe you're hearing a voice or something comes into you and it's a sound, it's words that you represent. Unfortunately, the cognitive sciences aren't trained in aspects of the soul in their fields of study. So if someone says they're hearing things or hearing voices, or they're seeing things, they can visualize and see things, they're often getting labeled as mentally ill. So there's a lot of reasons why we have to look at why these aspects of ourself are encouraged not to be in the forefront in Western society. So our higher sensory perceptions, claircognizant is knowing. You know something and you can't explain why, but there might not be literature around you to support what you know, but you just know it. And clairsentience, you feel something. And a lot of people are so energetically sensitive right now. They're feeling the pain of others, the fear of others, but they're not knowing how to pull that energy off them and clean their energy space so that they can function without being influenced by that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go into that today, but there are definitely ways we can help ourselves. It also deals with our intuition, our inner knowing, that spidey sense, that sixth sense that you have, that you just know something that's the right thing for you to do. We're not encouraged to trust ourselves enough in that area. And I think that's something we need to look at if we are going to bring our higher aspects of self into the physical and be able to bring up more of our human abilities than what we're taught in school that we have. When the third eye isn't working properly, it can result in overthinking. Just the mind gets working and starts looping in patterns. Memory loss. Now, I see memory loss as a few being represented in different ways. One is in the education system. People are in school for so long, they recite the information over and over and over again until they forget the truth, because if they don't show that they understand the information, they don't get a passing grade and get to move on. So in some ways, it's almost you have to forget what you know is true so that you can learn what they're teaching you. And that can create memory losses to the true nature of your reality. It can result in paranoia and blocked inner knowing, again, for the reasons I just said, that you have no choice but to be able to let some of your knowing go so that you can adapt to whatever information they want you to believe. When we go into our crown chakra, this is the violet color. And as we know, the coronavirus, corona, I believe in Spanish, is the word for crown. So there's a lot of things at play here. Not going into what maybe some of that represents at this time, but just to keep an open mind to it and say, what are the chances of that? Is the coronavirus a spiritual disease that they don't want people waking up and understanding what our true potential is? So there's a lot of things just to ask the questions. And that's what today is all about, opening your mind to higher possibilities. That came to me this morning, that's the name of what this video should be called. So our crown is our higher consciousness, our knowing, our ability to read energy fields and to be able to connect with people, maybe telepathically, or be able to remote view, or be able to all of a sudden just know that you can project your consciousness somewhere and go in and read what's going on in that energy field. It's quite powerful when we know how to do this. The connection to divine energies, I'm going to repeat that. Everybody's got a different idea of what divine is for them, and I'm not here to say which one is right or wrong. Find the one that works for you and honor it is what I hope you would do. Whether it's God, whether you call it source, creator, Allah, universe, all-knowing, prime creator. There's many terms for it, and many cultures around the world have different names for it. None of them are wrong. They're right for you, providing you're using it and not hurting anybody with that knowledge. Crown chakra connects you to your purpose. We're all here to do something. Some of us have forgotten what it is, but when we are awakening to the higher abilities, we understand. We just get a sense of what our purpose in life is. It's your vision for life. It's your sovereignty, and your sovereignty is your freedom. It's your right to be in charge of you, your vessel. We are led to believe that we have a body with a soul, and it's not. We have a soul that's housed in a body. It's the exact opposite of what's been true to us. We have the right to say what happens to our body, what goes in our body, what our body is forced to do. We have the right to be able to say that for ourselves, but we've been encouraged to give away our sovereignty, and I'm hoping people are claiming that back. The truth of who you are and universal truths. Universal truths, in my mind, if I were to explain them, I would say they are beyond what man-made laws are, or what laws have been made in the court system. That's just human law, and usually has to deal with money or contracts. Universal truths have to do with principles of mentalism, principles of vibration, frequency, gender. There's cause and effect. There's a few different principles there that we have been encouraged to overlook in the name of having rules or whatever that are presented to us in a culture, a society, a country, things like that. So when you know how to connect with the universal truths, people can't shake you off of what you know. It gives you a different sense of stability because you know what's true and what's not true. When the crown chakra is not working properly, it results in earthly attachments. And what I see the earthly attachments, I think of these bottom three chakras is what happens in the human form. So the very first chakra, the root chakra, deals with single cell organisms. The second chakra I relate to is dealing with plants and animals. And the third chakra is the humans. So when we're stuck in our physical reality and everything has got a physical value, every physical thing has a value to it, you might have earthly attachments. Maybe it's, and I'm not limiting just to these, maybe it's your house, maybe it's your car, maybe it's your romantic partner, maybe it's your children, maybe it's friends you know, maybe it's a group you belong to, maybe it's a religious belief system that you belong to that makes you think that you're in a certain category, instead of saying, no, I'm sovereign as a being, as a human being, and I also enjoy some of these things. And the difference is, when you're a sovereign being, you enjoy earthly things. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. There's nothing wrong with having a nice car, a nice house, being proud of your partner, being proud of your children. But the idea is that you enjoy them, you own them, they don't own you. So that's what I see as the difference. The lack of a belief in a higher, belief in a power greater than humans. I know there's certain aspects of education and maybe some science that has led us to believe that humans are as big as it gets on the planet and we're the best, we're the be all end all. And I personally think that fed a lot of egos. I don't believe that's true. I think that is just a belief system that has been taught. And when people don't connect to the higher powers, something that's bigger than them, whether it's consciousness, universe, then they don't get a sense of the full energy spectrums that are happening around us. That's my opinion. Other people might disagree with me. So I wanted to share this with people today to give them a sense of how our energy is supposed to flow, because in this, the article or the comments that were made about the UV light technology, we have energy fields around our bodies. There's different ones. So each of these chakras represent an energy field. There's infrared energy, there's ultraviolet energy, there's all kinds of energy fields around us that we're not encouraged to understand. And when we don't understand them, again, these concepts come up and it's coming out of left field. We don't understand because we don't understand the higher sensory perceptions that come with the higher energy fields that are part of our innate. When you look at the root chakra, how this is designed is the root chakra vibrates at a slower rate. This is when we get our footing in life. Then when we get to the sacral chakra, that vibrates a little faster, the solar plexus faster, the heart faster, the throat. the crown, the third eye, and the crown until we're vibrating at a very high level of knowing. And what is my opinion is what is happening right now. There's some people who don't want us to wake up to understand what these abilities are. So I'm going to use this visual as an example, and they've inverted our energy fields. So if you understand who uses this flag, so they want the red at the top, and if you remember the red when it's not operating properly, greed, survival of the fittest mentality, abuse, financial insecurity. This is what we're seeing with all this lockdown. It's happening before then. But we're seeing this right now, that this is what's encouraged to be the norm, fighting for toilet paper. Notice the toilet paper when we look at the root chakra. Why are people looking at toilet paper as a priority? I think it's because they're encouraged in so many corporations and I'll say governments to invert our energy field, that they're upside down in priorities and not even understanding that the spiritual growth is where they want to be going. We are meant to grow and climb in life, and as we climb into our higher human abilities and our sensory perceptions, that is what is supposed to happen as we mature into life, that we are able to access our higher sensory abilities. We are meant to build on lower abilities before we vibrate to the higher abilities and acquire sensory perceptions. Just a second here, I'm not quite sure what happened there. Just give me a second, I'm going to find one more. Where did I put this one? Sorry about that. Inverting our energy field is similar to flying an airplane upside down. It doesn't make sense to do that, but again, because we're not encouraged how our energy works, it gets manipulated, and then we're taught to be our slower self, our denser energy, not our best self. Our corporations distorting the visible spectrum of frequency in order to make consumerism our highest priority and spirituality our lowest. We must ask this, because technically with this inverted energy, money and consumerism is going to rule, and our spirituality is kind of located where our bottom should be. So that, to me, we should be asking why. Which groups associate with flying our energy field upside down? And start asking the questions so that you get a better sense if somebody's manipulating your energy field or the energy field of the people around you. Times are changing, and I don't believe we're going back to the way things were. And in some ways, I'm grateful, because in a lot of ways, the old system benefited the few at the top and some in betweens, but it didn't benefit everybody. Not everybody's flourishing in the society we just had. There's a lot of pay inequality. There's a big gap between the haves and the have-nots. And I know that the norm was to shame the people who didn't have, and I'm not in that camp. And I'm not what anybody would call a socialist, communist, any of that. We need something new that we probably haven't seen yet. So that's where I'm hoping that we start to look at energies differently. So I hope this video helped explain maybe some missing parts of why we aren't seeing the big picture of what's going on with new modalities. I know Tesla had talked about ultraviolet light healing, sending light inside the body. Anybody who did any studying any of the research of Tesla knows that he was suppressed. All of his information was kept from the public. And what happened, allopathic medicine took over. So the pharmaceuticals took over. We have the right to look at other options of modalities of wellness. And again, I'm not here talking about modalities of wellness. I'm talking about understanding how energy works. So if you find this video is helpful, please join me on YouTube. You can find this video on I just use my name, Sandy Glaze. I've got other videos there. I'm starting to share how the energies work, how the emotions work, how higher emotional and spiritual energies affect our body, so people can start getting expanding the sense of who they are. And if you like, you could subscribe and hit the notification button. And anytime I send out a new video, you'll be notified right away, so you'll know when they're there. You can also send me an email at sandy@endinggloballoneliness.com if you have any questions about energy, or you have any questions about your own energy fields or things that you're sensing. Shoot me off an email and I'd be happy to chat with you. I also offer a complimentary 30-minute session, no charge for that. We can have a Skype or a Zoom or a phone call. We can talk in different ways, and maybe I can help answer some questions that you have. You can also visit my website at endinggloballoneliness.com. So I hope you find this helpful, and we'll see you soon, okay? Take good care and know how powerful we are and how amazing we are, and that we have the right to know the truth about our true selves. So take good care. Bye-bye.